How's it going, guys? Peshcats here, and we're taking a look at Game 3 from October 16th's Friday Night Weiss Schwarz. On the left is myself playing the Idolmaster Cinderella Girls, and on the right is Primo playing a MAKI WAIFU Love Life deck. Now, as you can see, the game has already started. That's because I messed up, and I started the game, and I forgot to turn the camera on, and I only realized it like a minute or two after we started because I noticed the light on the camera was not on. So I went to go turn that on. Just sit tight. I think I come back to the table in about 5 seconds and we can continue the game. So anyways, what happened so far is on my first turn I decided to clock and pass, and on Primo's turn he is attacking me 3 times, the first of which canceled, the second of which you just saw is going to deal 2 damage, and the third is going to deal 3 and bring me to 0-6. So I'm playing my Cinderella Girls deck is a blue deck, so it's a lot of Love Laika and Ronco cards mainly. And I'm going to clock myself to level 1. Play the Minami level 1 Climax combo in this deck. But first I'm going to play the level 0 Rin with the Akatsuki effect. So when I play her, I discard a card and look at up to 4 cards from the top of my deck, add a blue character to my hand among those 4 cards, and send the rest to the waiting room. So the goal here was to try and get another copy of the 1-0 Minami, which I only have 1 copy of in my hand right now. But unfortunately I did not get the card, so I take the Clock Encore Anya instead. And I play the 1 copy of the Minami as well as a Mill Runner. And I also play a Konako Brainstorm to the back row, which is going to give my center character a 500 buff. There's the Climax. So the Minami, very good level 1 card. If you play any Climax, it gets plus 1500 power. And it has a Climax combo with the Pants trigger that I currently have on the stage. If I reverse my opponent's character in battle, I get to look at up to 4 cards from the top of my deck. So as you can see, I get to look at the top 4. Choose 1 music character among those 4 cards and add it to my hand, and send the rest to the waiting room. And then I get to give a character plus 2k until the end of the turn. So grabbing the level 1 Minami. So having that combo, it's very good for going through the deck very quickly. It's pretty common for that deck to level up at or to refresh at level 1 if you get enough Minami combos and the Rin effect as well as Konako Brainstorm. You can go through the deck quite quickly. Now on Primo's turn, he clocks, draws 2, and he only has 1 level 0 in his hand, which he does not want to play since it has a Climax combo, but you need to have 2 other characters on the stage in order to use the Climax combo, so he just decided not to play anything this turn. Now for my turn, I triggered a book on the second attack of the turn, so the goal here is to pay it out. So first I'm going to use the Konako Brainstorm, hitting 1 Climax. That's going to allow me to salvage 1 character from my waiting room. And I think I go with a 1-0 counter. Yeah, the Saya counter is pretty good. It's a 1-0 1k backup, but if you have a music character on your stage, then the backup becomes a 2k. And since everything in this deck is music trait, it's basically always a 2k counter. So, gonna get out that book by playing the Anya Clock Encore. And my deck is running low. I used the Rin once, I used Konako, I used Minami. So, I have another Pants in my hand, but I'm gonna want to play it now so I can get it back into my refresh, even though my opponent doesn't have any characters in play, so to potentially plus off the Minami. It's better to get that Climax back into the deck rather than just keep it in my hand. So my attacks are going to put Primo to 1-5. He canceled the first one. Draws a Climax. So he has clocked a climax every single turn so far this game, which is unfortunate. It keeps drawing all those climaxes. And it looks like he's out 5 right now. He's got 1 in his hand, 1 in his clock, and 3 in the waiting room. So I believe that card, that MAKI, was a 1/1 vanilla. And that is the one that has the climax combo. And the last MAKI he plays is an assist from Love Live DX or School Idol Festival 1, depending on which language of the game you're playing. And he's going to play the Door of Dreams climax. So the level 0 MAKI's climax combo is, on attack, you can pay 1 stock if you have 2 or more other music characters, and that lets you search your deck for a music character. So he triggers a win, bounces back my Anya Clock Encore, which is unfortunate. I'm going to have to pay the stock to play that back down if I want it on the field. But that does mean that he is out yet another climax, so he has like 2 left in his deck. Let me see if I can find that MAKI. Yeah, so the one on the top is just a 117k vanilla. But it is more than enough to beat my 1-0 Minami. So as you can see, I went into refresh. Refreshing at 1-1 is pretty good, although I do take the book as refresh damage, which is unfortunate. And now going back to my turn. So here I clock the Mill Runner. I don't have any climax in my hand, so I can't try to go for like a Minami climax combo. I have the Miria level 0 in my hand, which means that I can play it, pay 1 stock, ping myself for 1 damage to search for the Minami. But I don't have the pants to go with it, so looks like it's just going to be the Anya Clock Encore is probably going to... Actually, I'm not even sure if I'm going to play the... Yeah, so I discard the Anya. She cannot beat the MAKI vanilla because she gets a power boost based on how many cards the opponent has on their field, not how many cards I have on my field. So I go with the other level 1 Minami. When she comes into play, she gets 500 power for every music character I have, including herself. So she goes from 5k up to 7.5. And the Anya Global in the back row is going to give her another 500 power, bringing her up to 8k, while the MAKI is at 7.5. Triggering a book to draw 1 card. Looks like I got a 3-2 Anya. And Primo's going to go to level 2. And another climax. That's going to let me get a book. And finally the direct for 3, which is going to land. And Primo's going to be at 2-3. And I'm out 3 climaxes, I think. No, 4 climaxes, because I have 1 in clock, 1 in my hand, and I just triggered 2 climaxes. Now this deck is pretty conservative on stock. It doesn't have a lot of ways to pay out stock. You have your Conoco Brainstorm, you have Miria, you have a couple other ways, but honestly, if something like that, what happened on my last turn, where I triggered 2 climaxes, usually I'll resort to doing a 3 stock encore. Here Primo's going to play his level 3 MAKI. He can play that at level 2 because he has 6 climaxes in his waiting room. And on play it lets him draw 2 cards and discard 1 card to replenish his hand. He also plays the level 0 MAKI counter. It gets +1 soul if he has a level 3 or higher on the field, which he does. He has the MAKI he just played. And finally going to play No Brand Girls MAKI, which is, it gets 500 power for every standing character on my field. So I have 2, and she gets +1000 power. He starts by ramming his backup, and I level up to level 2. What I think he could have done here was, instead of ramming the backup into the Minami, is he could have put it across from my level 0 Rin and use it to side attack, and use the MAKI to beat my 1-0 Minami. That way he wouldn't lose his backup, and he wouldn't take as much damage going into my turn. So I take all the damage, putting myself at 2-4. Drawing another Anya. So I am pretty much set up for my level 3 game. I have 2 Anyas in my hand. I have a Ronco, I have a Climax. But do I clock one of the Anyas? I think the better move might actually be to clock the... Okay, so I didn't clock it all that turn. Play the Producer, drop an Anya, maybe search for Ronco. Change up the finishers a bit. I'm trying to remember what I did. This game was like last week. And it looks like it's going to be the Ronco level support. What would have been perfect on the previous turn was having the Mayu anti-change counter to get rid of the MAKI. That would have also allowed me to pay out the 3 stock, my top 3 stock, and I could pay out those 2 Climaxes. Although I'm just going to use the Konako Brainstorm. Lets me hit 1. I can pick up the Anastasia that I just discarded if I want, or I can pick up a Ronco. Either one's fine. Go with the Ronco. That gets 1 of the 2 Climaxes out of my stock, and play over with the Konako to pay out the last Climax in my stock, and hit 2 more Climaxes, letting me salvage 2 more cards. Grab the Mayu anti-change. Kind of 1 turn too late for that, considering that he already played the MAKI, and he's close to being hit to level 3 right now. So at this point, the Mayu is just being used as just being salvaged for a 2-5 counter. I don't believe he was running the 3-2 healer, which is also a double strike Muse. I don't believe he was running that. But if he was, the 2-5 counter would be helpful in not getting smashed by a double striker. He's got like, what, 7 Climaxes out? And looks like he's like a couple cards off of his refresh. So I hit for 2. He goes to 2-6. And he's going to refresh himself up to level 3 right now. There's a level 3. He's already got both his blue and his yellow, so he doesn't have to worry about color anymore. Round the Producer, triggers a book, draw a card. And I'm going to refresh as well. I think I'm going back with 6, because I have 1 book in my hand and I just triggered 1. Primo taps. I get the 2nd Climax as refresh damage in the same game, which makes me super sad. So he's going to sit at 3-1 while I'm at 2-5. Decides to clock, putting himself at 3-2. Plays the 3-2 healer Muse. Yeah, and he can play one of those backups for a 2-soul hitter, which he does. So that level 0 is going to be attacking for 3 soul, assuming that he keeps it in center slot and makes a direct attack with it. So the Muse card, he's going to trigger a Wind. Decides to bounce nothing worth bouncing. Hits for 3 and it lands. That's going to put me at 3-1. So I level up the yellow here, even though I don't need the yellow. I don't have anything outside of my level 0 that's yellow, but I just want to... Don't really need the Miria this late into the game. Using her effect to clock myself is just going to put me closer to death. Speaking of which, I draw another Miria. So this is where the finishers of the deck are going to come in. I clock 1 because I have 2 Ronkos in my hand, which I can play to heal those damage out. So I can just draw more cards at this point. Of course, you do run the risk of drawing more Climaxes. But the plan here, I think, is to use the Anya's effect with the double strike, well, the pseudo double strike, to discard any extra Climaxes before I go into refresh. Really, the only thing left to do for me at this point is to play the book. And that's going to allow me to use my Ronko Climax combos. So, in addition to healing, Ronko's Climax combo is on attack. I mill the top 5 cards in my deck. And for each Climax, I burn 1 damage. So if I mill 3 Climaxes, I burn for 3. If I mill 1, I burn for 1. And I end up milling 1 Climax, which cancels, which is the ideal result. This means that my front attack for 3 is more likely to go in. The Climax combo for Ronko also gives her an extra 2k power until the end of the turn, but he decides to use a 1/1 3500 counter, which makes us equal at 13,500 apiece. And he does take the 3. So ideally I just win the game right here. And the fact that he reversed my characters doesn't really matter. This is going to burn for 1, which he takes. And I think this hit just straight up ended the game. This is for 4. He uses another 1/1 counter so that his MAKI beats mine, but I think he just takes 4, and that's going to end the game. Oh, okay, no, he cancels the 2, and my Anya can now attack onto his level 0 for 3. And that is going to be the game. So, as you can see on the top are deck names. I'm Mass is superior versus Love Live is superior. And in this game at least, Idolmaster was superior. So thanks for watching, guys. This has been Peshcats, and I'll see you in Game 4.